This is Moses Sirigar. I'm here with Brandon Sanderson, who is a #1 New York Times best-selling author. Brandon writes epic fantasies. He's also written a children's series called Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians that I've heard from reliable people is a fantastic series, and you can find his other works as well. He's written Elantris, Mistborn, which is a trilogy, already completed, Warbreaker, which you can get for free as a PDF on Brandon's website, which is brandonsanderson.com. That's actually how I found you and got turned on to your works that way. Brandon is most famous for being the writer who is completing the Wheel of Time series, which was started by Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan wrote 12 books, starting in 1990. The first book came out. It's the most popular contemporary epic fantasy series post-Tolkien. And Brandon has taken over that series, and he's now writing the very end of that series. And I'm here to talk to him about a couple of other things, including a new book he's got coming out in a new series. So we're here in Pasadena, California. We just finished the Superstars Writing Seminar. Brandon was one of the presenters for that. I was one of the attendees for that. And it was also put on by Kevin J. Anderson, David Farland, Rebecca Mesta, and Eric Flint. And you guys are doing another event probably in January of 2011, maybe in Salt Lake City, right?
Yeah. Always with the intention to do multiples of this seminar if there is interest and people want to attend. We noticed a distinct lack in the marketplace of a seminar of this type, which was the main reason why we decided to try giving them. You can learn from a lot of people how to write. The best way to learn to write is to practice, actually. But there are great books written about it. There are great conferences given, great workshops given. But what we noticed that there isn't anyone doing, there aren't people giving professional seminars on the business side of it. There isn't anyone talking about what book contracts look like and what the different pieces of them are. What agent contracts look like, what agents are expected to do and what you can expect from an agent. How to do a pitch, how to write a query letter, how to do all of these things, nobody's talking about. And I broke into this business based on advice that was given to me by Kevin Anderson and Rebecca Mesta and Dave Wolverton/Farland, the same guy. And so these guys and lady know quite a bit about the business. And so these seminars put on by Kevin's company are to help new writers learn all of this stuff. It's incredibly valuable.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I was here at the event, and I wanted to mention Brandon in particular. I mean, everyone was really generous, but Brandon was super, super generous. I was really blown away, frankly. You know, you answered so many people's questions. You answered so many of my questions, as you know, and, you know, you shared your experience of how you got to where you are. I mean, you've taken over writing a series that sold close to somewhere around 50 million, you know, books at this point. But, you know, you really impressed me. You were so generous. You were so helpful. You gave so much information, more than you really needed to, frankly. And it was really clear that you cared about the people who were there at that event. So you can come to future events. You know, they're going to put on these other events, hopefully in the future again. And you guys also are going to have audio and video recordings of these available. So you can also check out what we just did, and it'll be well worth your time for that, I think. I'm really excited to talk to you about your new book, though. You have a new one coming out called The Way of Kings, and is it still slated for August of 2010 this year to come out?
It is. The Way of Kings should be coming out on August 17th, I believe.
And it's the first volume now according to Wikipedia, which means it must be true, the first volume of a potential 10-book series called the Stormlight Archive. Is that true? How does this relate to the Wheel of Time?
All right. Stormlight Archive is a series I've been working on for a number of years. About 15 years worth of planning and world building and trying to create just a really great epic fantasy series. It's what I've wanted to do since I was young. Is write a big, powerful, excellent epic fantasy series. And you don't grow up reading Robert Jordan without wanting to do that. One thing I've been emphasizing lately, however, is that I don't intend it to be a replacement for the Wheel of Time. I have to be my own person. I have to write in my own way. And I don't think anyone can replace the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time books will end, and I think they will be stronger for having an ending that someone can read straight through. And I'm not saying to fans, well, the Wheel of Time's over, now go read my book. I hope that some will try it out, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is just to tell the story I really want to tell, that I've been wanting to tell forever. 10 books is a number that has been bandied about by various forces involved in this project. I have been counseled not to lock myself in. I am pretty good at writing things at the length I say I'm going to. This is something on most of my projects I've managed to do that. If I say I'm going to do a standalone, I do a standalone. If I say I'm going to do a trilogy, I'm going to do a trilogy. But working on The Wheel of Time, where it was going to be one book that became a trilogy, that wasn't my decision, but proves that it's just better sometimes not to lock yourself in, just so that you don't get into that kind of trouble. It will be a multi-volume epic. Tor has bought 4 books from me, and that will not be the ending. How about that?
Can you tell me a little bit about the series itself? What sort of events are happening? What's the story like?
Well, in a series of this length, there are just so many different things that we could talk about. I tend to pick one little one for each interview. One of the things that made me want to write this series was reading a lot of the epic fantasy that I loved growing up. And a lot of that epic fantasy has a recurring theme, which is a very odd recurring theme for the type of story it is. It is the theme of magic going away. Of course, it's not in all of them, but you notice this as a consistent theme. If you read the Master, Tolkien, the magic is leaving, the elves are going away, and the world is slowly becoming like our world. If you read Terry Brooks, the magic is slowly going away, and that world is becoming our world. It was a theme in David Eddings. It's even a theme in Robert Jordan, though nearly not as powerful a one. There is the world, the cosmology says that in the Wheel of Time the world will keep turning, and technology will eventually supplant magic, and magic, will then go away and have to be rediscovered. And that concept of magic being rediscovered stuck in my head. It's the sort of thing that I hadn't seen done really well in a fantasy series before, and it seemed like something that it was exciting to me. So the Stormlight Archive is about the rediscovery of magic, magical renaissance, so to speak, where people are discovering what has come before and actually then applying science to it, figuring out how it worked, and bringing magic back into the world.
And this is going to be a great big one, huh?
It's going to be very large.
Most of them in the series probably will be, right?
Yes, they will.
Okay.
Hopefully I can make them all stand on their own as stories, which is one of my goals in writing epics, is write epics where a lot of series, even the ones I absolutely love, the later books tend to turn into just pieces of a much larger story without their own internal story. I want to try and avoid that. We'll see if I am able to. I've never written something this long before.
So a lot of readers are a little burned on some series where they get into the series and then the author may take a long time to finish them, and some people may be reluctant to start a big series like that. But I just want to say your track record over the last 4 years, how many books have you written that have been published?
In the last 4 years, I'm averaging about 2 books a year. One larger book, one shorter book. Working on The Wheel of Time has slowed me down. The first Wheel of Time book took 16 months, which I usually have been historically working several years ahead in my contract, so you don't see it as readers. You don't see that, you just see 2 books, or even sometimes 3 books coming out at once, or in a year, but that's because I'm eating into my buffer, so to speak. So yeah.